Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm back here with Sonic Soul, and we're gonna update you guys on all the Evil news that's been going on. I know you guys want my thoughts on Evil being canceled slash bringing back in an online environment. I'm sure there's a lot of memes on that. But coincidentally, before we did this video, there was actually some giant Evil news on Twitter
Yeah.
today on even more info that's going on. Very, very convenient for us. So we'll keep you guys all caught up on that as well. So let's just start off with the first initial news here that Evil was canceled. I mean, I don't think neither you and me were surprised. We were talking about it for months ahead of time, and we knew like even the venues at Sonic in Vegas were like canceled and stuff.
Yeah, it's more of the same really with most of these tournaments now. As we progress through the months,
Right,
COVID's
right,
just been running rampant. Yeah.
right. And then the next thing is that they announced that Evil announced that yes, we're canceling. We didn't know until actually recently. It was about like a month ago when we knew that Evil was canceled because it looks like they were
Mhm.
still trying to make it work. But then they said, hey, we're gonna have an online tournament to keep the spirit of Evil. And that's good, right? That they're still gonna have a tournament. But a lot of people were, they're like, hey, well, we can't really take this seriously. Like, is the Evil champion really gonna be an Evil champion? How can we take this seriously when the netcode on so many of these games are ass?
Yeah.
And even if they're good, people are still going to make excuses. And people want our thoughts on that. And I think
I also I also think it was also a factor of like, how are you going to organize something like this, region locked and whatnot, things like that, which
yeah,
we'll talk about as we get through the rest of this year.
yeah, it's logistically it's a nightmare too. That's
Mhm.
definitely an issue as well. So there's a lot of problems. Just because fighting games are just not there yet. That's why we have players travel on the world.
Yeah,
That's why, because they're just not ready yet for this type of
and,
capacity.
and that's what Evo's about too. Like Evo is about everyone from around the world. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, you could come through and play in that tournament, right?
Hmm.
So
Right. It's a lot different than how esports is right now for other genres of games. So, I mean, the short and sweet answer on my side, Song, I don't know what your opinion of it is. Mine is like better than nothing. I
yeah,
feel, I feel better than nothing. I do agree with people that a lot of it can't be taken seriously. But I think no matter what, people are gonna make an excuse. Like I keep bringing up how when Luffy beat Bonchan in Street Fighter
obviously,
4, he was not the evil champion. Everyone was like, nah, he's not the champion. It doesn't matter if it was offline, it wasn't online. It wasn't online because it wasn't online. He's not the real champion. Oh, he was using roles.
exactly.
I feel like there's always going to be an excuse. And,
Yeah,
you know,
like for me personally, that excuse is gonna be there because of online. There's so many different
mhm,
variables to online in general. Whereas, offline, sure, yeah, you could get somebody just DCing a controller and just some issue with the system or whatever. But at the end of the day, those are more manageable than like an online tournament where there are so many different variables that you can't really control that another person probably has with their connection or that the server itself you can't really deal with, right? So there's all these different variables and plus, delay based netcode versus rollback and things of that nature. So I just think personally for me, regarding the whole spirit of Evo, which is what I got from their announcement, right? They want to preserve the spirit of Evo by having these online tournaments at the very least. But I'm like, the spirit of Evo to me is that anybody can come in and play in that tournament. It's a world tournament.
right,
Anybody can enter. It doesn't matter who it is. Does it has not like an invitational or anything like that. Anybody could join it, and it's offline. People from around the world gather.
right,
So when you have an online tournament, you also have to bring in, well, all right, I mentioned before about region lock. Well, how are you going to be able to organize this tournament? How are you going to mitigate the amount of lag that happens if you make it region locked? Then not everyone around the world is going to be playing against each other. You don't get that dichotomy of matchups
yeah,
from different areas of the world. You could kind of show that between regions, but at the end of the day, what you're gonna have like two champions for a region lock, and then what happens if you don't region lock it? Then you're gonna have hell, right? Because
right,
now you're gonna have people trying to fight people from Hawaii and they're in like Canada or whatever, right?
right.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Even
So
even with other genres of games that the netcode is not as important as like in a fighting game, they still have their regional qualifiers. And then when
yep.
all those regional qualifiers are done, then they all meet up at the end, and then that's when we have the
Hmm.
grand finals. But they're not open tournaments like
They're
fighting games
all
are. They're
invitational.
all closed exhibition invite only tournaments, right?
Yep.
So it makes it less complicated for them. Another thing too is sportsmanship, Sonic. Like what if we don't know what joysticks or what controllers people are using online?
Of
We
course.
don't know we don't know what players are behind. I call Sonic Soul, come down, play for me. Play some Nash for me in Street Fighter 5. You don't know. You don't know who, like seriously, there's so
You
many
catfish
ways you could
you
cheat.
catfish people in
Yeah.
fighting games.
It's insane, dude, the amount of things you can cheat on. So like the sportsmanship wise is also very scary, right? So this it's that's why it's something that you just cannot take it seriously. But one thing I should also point out too, Sonic, is that I also feel bad for the competitors. You know, these players that play these games for a living and they've been practicing all year and getting ready, and then to not have a tournament for them at all, it's kind of a feels bad, man, too, as
I
well, right?
think one of the main games that I could think of, two of the main games actually, one for you and one for me. One would be Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, right? Like with that
Mm-hmm.
game, that game came out in February around Japan, and then we got a little bit later in the US, maybe like a couple days later or whatever. But the point is, we got that game in February. It
Mm-hmm.
hit off great at locals. Everyone was playing it, and then bam, COVID hits. We're all in quarantine now. I've been in my house for almost a month. You see, my hair's all messed up.
Yeah.
But like, aside from all that, we've just been stuck in the home. We only have the online tournaments, and I've been kind of doing my thing to like support that and everything with online tournaments and get people to continue to play. And the game is still thriving and still alive, and it still has a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
playing it. But that prestige of Evo being selected, right? Like for that world stage, I hope that it gets that chance next year. But like, to see that it didn't get a chance to do that because of such a crisis, it sucks, but it's still surviving. And then there's of course the other game, Marvel 2, right?
Yeah. Finally, we
This
get Marvel 2. This is the year, man. So.
Yeah, like Marvel 2, we're gonna get to that a little later in the conversation too, but like at least like with that game, if Marvel Infinite, that happened, right? The
Yeah.
whole debacle with that. And ever since people have been regressing, they've been going back to Marvel 3 and Marvel 2 and been playing those games. And Marvel 2 has been getting this like huge resurgence of people, especially with the Battle of the Strongest tournaments and all the extra exhibitionals, the
Mm.
exhibition matches, Marvel 3 with Reflex that happened. Shout out to K Brad. All those tournaments that happened were revitalizing the Marvel scene, and then it finally got Marvel 2 back on the main stage for Evo, and then again COVID happens, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, great, this happened during a time where Marvel could have really been on the forefront, could have pushed its momentum forward on a grander scale offline, and that's gone too. So it's like I really am. I'm kind of upset a little bit because of the situations. I understand why it had to happen because of COVID, but like, it really sucks for competitors that have practiced and spent time, like you said, and for those games, we're not gonna see them on that big grand stage. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have that prestige stage for them,
Yeah,
and I
man.
think that's also gonna hurt companies too, right?
Especially
So,
MVC 2, man.
hmm
In regards to MVC 2, Sonic, you can't go forward. You can only go back. Okay? You can only go
yeah,
back, bro.
yeah,
Marvel 2. Anyways, okay, let's talk about the current news now for Evil. So now we have more information
yeah.
exactly how this is going to go down. They released a trailer on Twitter. The Evil Twitter did. So Sonic, correct me if I'm wrong, because I get confused
hmm
about these kind of things, and I'm going to try
Okay,
my best to summarize it. All right.
sure.
So what's going to happen is the initial lineup for Evil, the games that were supposed to be chosen for Evil. What are the games on the lineup? We have 8 games, right?
One of them obviously being Marvel 2, which doesn't really have online outside of the
Yeah.
PS3.
But it's important to say that all the games that are chosen, they all have, besides Street Fighter 5, which is a meme, they
And Marvel
all
2 is
have
the
delayed
also
base
one.
netcode, which
Yeah.
is hilarious. Okay? Now, this is the thing. They said they're doing special exhibition matches for all the games that were chosen.
Mhm.
So not public, exhibition, and we don't even know if they're going to be online. We just
Yes.
know they're doing tournaments. So
Yep.
we don't know if Evo is going to fly a bunch of players down to play each other. We don't know if they're going to have their own private online tournament that's
Well,
hand chosen the players.
consider the following in terms of flying the players down, right? I would see that only as a possibility for maybe Marvel, but even so, right? The travel time, like traveling right now in a time like
Oh
this,
yeah, yeah, that's another
is,
good point.
is,
Like,
go,
how
is
could they
going to
even
be
travel exactly?
exactly. How is
Otherwise, we
that
would have
going
had
to
Evo in the
even work?
first place at a different
I'm
location.
also I'm also worried specifically about Marvel, right? Because in order to play that game online,
Yeah.
legally at least, you have to have the PS3 or Xbox 360 copy. The Xbox 360 version being the most optimal version of that game,
Hmm.
right? how are you gonna get people to play that game when you can't even purchase the game anymore,
Right.
right? You can't purchase the game anymore, and if you want to try to find those codes that have the game, right, you're gonna be spending mad money for it, only to find out that that code doesn't even work anymore because they discontinued it. So
Right.
you're gonna have to send people Xboxes now in order for them to play that game online. How's that gonna work either, right? Like that I don't know how they're gonna make that work with Marvel per se,
Yeah.
but with all the other games, I can't really see any mode of travel. It's gonna have to be online, and you're gonna have to find people relative to each other where they live and everything, so that way you can have actual exhibitions that
Right.
aren't gonna be like lag fest.
So, okay. So that's already gonna be complicated. There's definitely gonna be some players missing that people are gonna want to be in these exhibitions, but that's just how it is. Okay, it's kind of like the better or nothing, take it or leave it kind of thing because of the situation. Now this is
Yeah.
where it gets interesting. Then, they're going to have four new games now that are going to be open to the public. So I guess open to the world, online tournaments. And these four games chosen is Mortal Kombat 11,
Mhm.
Skullgirls. What is that pony game called? The hell is that?
Them's fighting
I
herds.
thought that was a joke. What is that game called?
Them's fighting herds.
Them's Fight. Whatever. Okay, what's the other game? What's the other game called?
Killer Instinct is the other
Oh,
one.
Killer Instinct. I heard of that game. Okay, Killer Instinct. All right. Now these these four games, Sonic, all have rollback. Okay,
Yes.
rollback
They
based
all have
netcode. They
robots.
all have. I'm assuming they all have godlike netcode, right? Okay, I know for sure. Mortal Kombat is pretty good.
Skullgirls is another one. Remember, Mike
Skullgirl, I
ZB
heard, is very
working
good.
on it. It has ping. You can see ping.
You can see Wi-Fi.
Yes, you can see
You can see
Wi-Fi. I
Wi-Fi.
remember the article now. You
And
can
same with
see
Mortal
as
Kombat.
soon as you see Wi-Fi. Yep.
Right. So okay. There's two big things we need to talk about now. I don't know which one you want to talk about first. Do you want to talk about the embarrassment of the big AAA games not being chosen, or you want to talk about these four games? Like, where do you want to go first here? Because there's
We
a
can talk
lot
about
to
the four.
unpack.
We can talk about the four games first.
Okay, before we talk about the
Yep.
four games, keep in mind, guys, that all these tournaments are going to be taking place over every single weekend of July. Okay,
5 weekends.
5 weekends. Every weekend of July, there's going to be 2 days of tournaments for us to watch. I'm sure
Yep.
they're going to bounce back between the exhibitions of the main lineup and the public online tournaments of these four games chosen. So,
Yep.
first question, if we're talking about the four games first, Sonic, first question, how the hell are they going to have it completely open to the public for online games? Because there's going to have to be a limit. Otherwise, there's going to be over 10,000 players for these tournaments. Like, what are they going to do?
That is gonna be hard to manage, right? And you
Right.
also have you're gonna the thing about it too is that I manage my own online tournaments as well for Grand Blue, not on a big scale, obviously,
Yeah.
but on a smaller scale, clearly. And then obviously I know about Ronin Rumble. Shout outs to them. They do their own tournaments too for both Samurai Showdown and Grand Blue. And the thing is, they get 200 people. I get about like 60 people, but there's always gonna be some issue no matter what online tournament it is, there's gonna be some issues between players regardless. Now multiply that by Evo standards if you were to make it completely open and anyone were to enter, right?
Hmm.
What happens is you're going to have more of those instances of problems coming up. My opponent's lagging. I think he may be using Wi-Fi,
Hmm.
which to be
He's
honest, these
leg
games
switching.
lag switching.
Yeah.
My opponent's stalling my match.
Yeah.
He didn't check in or respond to
It's dude,
me.
it's never ending. There's gonna
Yeah,
be there's
you're
gonna be
you're
problems.
going you're going to have people that are going to be like, well, look, man, like you know, I don't know what's going on with the online what's going on. You're gonna have people clueless, right, about how the tournament's gonna run, even when you lay the rules out
Right.
specifically.
Right.
And so I'm wondering how tournament organizers are. I mean, the Evo staff, they've done this several times with people in person, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure online it's easier to just tag somebody and let someone know. And then if they don't say anything, well, you just DQ them or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's so many people to manage. And so there's gonna be some kind. I feel like there has to be some kind of restriction anyway for how you're going to allow people to come into this tournament. And that was what I was getting at before about like, the spirit of Evo. And again, how offline anyone can enter. Now with online, I feel like you're either going to have to mitigate who comes in or you're really going to have to crack down on every instance that happens of a mistake within an online tournament. So
Are you gonna enter any of these tournaments, man?
I don't play any one of those games. I don't play Skullgirls. I don't play MK11. I don't play. I've never really played Them's Fighting Herds like that. I know about it.
Yeah.
And Killer Instinct, I've never played, but people tell me I should try it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool that these games have been chosen because of their quality netcode. I'm sure
Exactly.
the developers of these games are proud of that they got
And
their
you know,
games chosen. They're like, oh,
and
okay, awesome. We're
and you know
we're
that's
being acknowledged for this.
and you know that's the thing too, right? With rollback connections, right? They not only fix matchmaking, but they because of that quality and connection being improved and that wider pool of players that you can search from, you know, a good example of how rollback connection was SNK, right? They've been working on retrofitting old titles with variable like netcode, like basically choosing between input delay and rollback and switching it up so that way you
Hmm.
can get the perfect crisp connection.
Hmm.
I can literally play the community manager who's in Japan. I can
Hmm.
play him in Japan perfectly fine with this rollback netcode that they've implemented from Code Mystic. So like it's there. Like rollback netcode is definitely something that I feel is important when you're going to be doing especially online tournaments like this, right? You need that to be able to cover that coast to coast region and not have any issues. So these
Yeah.
4 games having this rollback netcode in some capacity or being able to tell someone's using Wi-Fi, that's very, very large because now you don't have to work. You may not even have to worry about region locking your tournament because the
Right.
netcode is so goddamn good, right?
Yeah, it's been
So
talked to death, man, on rollback netcode, just to
of
death,
course,
dude. It
of
is.
course.
And I mean, it's not like the developers aren't listening. Like we finally have Arxis giving it a shot now, right? Capcom
Yeah,
gave it a shot. They slipped, but they did improve it more in MVC Infinite. Infinite was better. So I mean, it's
yeah.
possible, right? Even they have a
But
grasp of it. So
aside from MK, the thing is though, like I know MK is obviously a triple A fighting game,
yeah,
but the other three are not,
yeah,
right? Why is it that I know MK is probably the only one next to maybe Killer Instinct.
yeah,
Killer Instinct is also, if you want to consider that also, I think a triple A game.
yeah.
Uh, but like those two, I believe, were based mostly in America, right? And when it comes, I'm not trying to throw super shade. I'm just saying
I'm
like
gonna throw shade though. You give me a chance to. I'm just waiting for you to give your question, and then I'll give you
my
the short
the
answer.
thing is that why is it that aside from those 2 games and maybe the smaller games, why is it that all those games were developed over here and they have proper implemented rollback connection or proper online, but all the triple A titles, most of them coming from Japan too, why do they have to continue to use this archaic delay-based style of netcode that continues to this day to be permeated throughout all these fighting games? Now, granted, I do agree Guilty Gear Strive is coming out with rollback netcode, but they recently had their beta test, right?
Mhm.
And it wasn't so hot with the lobby system. Now, of course, they used delay-based netcode, and they said
Yeah,
they would use rollback in the final product of the game,
it was
but
horrible, by the way.
very horrible
Yeah,
delay-based. But I wish that we would be allowed to test the netcode for that game as well,
maybe
considering
we
that
will. Maybe there will be a chance to.
I hope so
Yeah,
because again, they could be using rollback, and I know they have the dude that worked on Killer Instinct's rollback as well for their team. But are they going to use Killer Instinct's rollback implemented in their game and stuff? Do we know that they're going to use it, or are they going to think of their own thing like Street Fighter Five, and it could potentially not be great? That's what I'm worried about when it comes
I
to
hear you, man.
decisions.
Dude,
So
that's
it's
an
like,
entire other video
why?
topic.
So I
There's
know, but
so
I'm
much
just
to
saying,
unwind on that.
considering these situations, why is it that this is a consistent issue with these titles and these games coming in that are all triple A? I really and transitioning to this other topic, I do really think that a lot of these triple A games that are coming out or that have been out that have been the mainstay of Evo, like Street Fighter, Tekken's, Soul Calibur now, Under Night. Why do all of these games continue to have delay-based netcode in it, or rather Street Fighter 5, for instance, it has rollback, but the rollback was poorly implemented? Why in the hell do they continue to have these issues? And more importantly, I feel like again the situation should literally be a wake-up call stop developing your fighting games with the lay-based netcode in a situation like this where we know you need Evo and all of these offline events to actually promote your game, right? Now that all of these games are online, now you're really staring at like the bad portion of what a fighting game is online, right?
Right.
Like what,
So let's
yeah,
transition to the other side of the thing now, and that
yeah.
is the embarrassment of a lot of these companies now not getting their games represented in the public tournaments. Now it's kind of like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It's not evil throwing shade, but it just shows the confidence of them trying to run a public tournament. You know, and I want to talk about specifically about Street Fighter Five because Street
Yeah.
Fighter Five was supposed to go into the Olympics, right? They're in terms of esports, Street Fighter Five is pushing it the hardest, right?
Yeah,
It's
we
gonna they're
almost
trying to
have
push
to
it as the most
big.
competitive fighting game. Olympics. You did the online tournament testing yourself, right?
Mhm.
Capcom is definitely going to be doing it. They also have an announcement tomorrow too, Sonic, on
Yeah,
Capcom
I'm
Pro
very
Tour, and it's
interested.
obviously going to be online, right? So like they think they're ready, but this obviously shows that they aren't, and they have been. We finally got a netcode update 4 years later in Street Fighter Five, and that was only because somebody hacked it, well, not hacked into the game, but tried to fix it themselves.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Capcom would have never have changed it, right? And the
Yep.
matchmaking once again 4 years later. So now this is like another kind of take a hint kind of thing, and it's going to be really interesting going forward. Is this going to be the wake up call? Because now we got one part, we got Arxis, now we got Capcom, right? Hopefully taking a look at this, and hopefully have other companies as well, right? Like Bandai
Yeah.
Namco, you know.
Like again, when I mentioned before about SNK and how they were retrofitting their retrofitting rollback netcode to all their previous titles, you have to consider that that's something that they're trying to do and practice with potentially for their next title with King of Fighters 15, right?
Yeah,
And how they're gonna potentially give that game rollback netcode. Guilty Gear Strive, right? That game is also having rollback netcode put in it. However which way it's implemented, at least is going to set precedent for a lot of these titles that are going to be, coming forward
yeah, man.
to actually have rollback netcode in the future. And this situation with Evo is no different when it comes to, shining a spotlight into how these games, get represented in an offline environment. Like we know that offline games, right, in general, offline fighting games, that's where a lot of people are looking at these big, high profile events. And once you lose that, or you get some form of it, like with Evo, once you get some form of that is, mainly online, it also kind of ruins the sanctity of the event in a sense because now you have all these games online and they're all using some form of delay-based netcode and it's all got some finicky system with its matchmaking and it's also going to have all this ambiguity with sportsmanship and all this extra stuff regarding Wi-Fi and who's using it. All of these different factors, now they shine a big light on the fault of what online fighting games have in terms of the more AAA titles that
Right,
we
and
all
I
know are
honestly
being
think like in terms of Street Fighter, I think Capcom really dropped the ball here because let's say like when Street Fighter Five came out, let's say the rollback they executed it properly, or let's say they actually used the GGPO style, right?
yeah.
And it was perfect, and everyone was happy. It
Hmm.
would have really like set competition for the other Japanese developers because they'd be like, because everyone would be playing Street Fighter and praising it, right? Instead of
Yes.
these American games, and the Japanese developers would be like, man, like Capcom's really killing it with this netcode. We have to be using it too because we're falling behind. But since Capcom kind of failed on it, these other Japanese companies are like, man, I don't know if we should really try this rollback thing. Capcom tried it and it didn't do so well. It put doubt. So now we're in this
Yeah.
situation, right, where we have to start over again, and this is like the second wake up call. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But in terms of Evil Sonic, I mean, is it going to go smooth? Probably not. Is it better than
There's
nothing?
going to be some hiccups
Is it better
no
than
matter
nothing?
how
I
many
mean,
ways you
dude, I am
slice it.
I am jonesing for tournaments right now. I can't
Yeah.
wait. Like anything MVC2, I'm super pumped to watch, and I'm sure there's gonna be some awesome exhibition matches. And yeah, the online public tournament is gonna be hilarious. I'm gonna really enjoy watching Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna laugh a lot having like random SSJ Goku 420 Integra join the thing and just start
And
teabagging
it's
people.
gonna have voice chat, hopefully,
Oh, dude,
right?
yeah, you're gonna hear the dogs, the fire alarms in the background. It's gonna be a hoot. It's gonna be a hoot. I can't wait. I feel bad for the evil staff on how they're gonna manage it, but I hope it runs as smoothly as possible for those guys. And I'm glad that they're giving us something better than nothing. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. But yeah, let's close up this video, Sonic, and we'll see what happens on the aftermath of it. I'm really interested. Maybe we could do some talk on the tournament, how it goes. But looks like everything's gonna accelerate forward unless we're gonna get some tournaments, man. Guys, let us know in the comments below what you guys think about this. The Evo Online, the game's chosen, the game's not chosen. What developers need to do about this? Should they even care? Is the Evo even a big enough deal to them? And yeah, like I said, starting on the first weekend of July, we're going to start seeing some Evo tournaments every single weekend for 5 weekends in a row. So thanks for joining me, Sonic, and
No problem.
we'll keep you guys posted. Good night, everyone.
Definitely.
Take care.
Take care.